Vicki and I were just giggling even coming in here to the media room that it's been 18 months since a basketball game happened in her life, and I know she was just kind of anxious to get the ring rust off a little bit, and then we have a class of 5 freshmen that it was kind of the same way. We were teasing in the locker room just now because we got called for several hand checks today, and the freshman class were responsible for 80% of them. You know, they're just getting up and a little too aggressive, and as a coach though, I would always rather have to tug on the reins a little bit rather than try to get them motivated. So it was one of those situations to where we just needed to kind of get that first half out of the way. And I felt, and we said this in the locker room too, I think the difference in the 2 halves was Toy Jackson found her shot early at the start of the second half, and that just kind of relaxed her a little bit. Toy could give us anywhere from 6 points to 16 to 22 points on a given night, and she'll kind of just play it as it comes. But the ball in her hand, she's very creative with it, and she includes her teammates a lot, and I just felt like she was very tight in the first half, kind of just coming into her senior year for the first time. And so I think as she began to relax coming out of halftime, I was glad we were able to build the lead that we felt, just a little bit of breathing room going in at halftime. And then we felt like some of the adjustments they were able to do going into the second half, we were going to control it from there on out. But I know we were a bit of a different team than what we've had here at ORU the past several years, because we're going to crash the paint a lot. You know, we're going to try to win it in the paint, win it with our guards going to the free throw line, guards going to the rim, and that's where our strengths lie this year, and that's who we're going to be working to be throughout this season. But it was just good to get the first one out of the way, and I told the girls in the locker room, the last thing I'll share in this opening statement, that the 2 best things that happened for us today were having 3 officials on the floor that could, you know, hold us to a standard and an expectation that we as coaches probably don't do as good a job doing as we need to do in practice every day. And the second thing was we've got some great game film that we can really teach from, because including Vicki, with 6 new faces on this roster this year, we want to be able to go back now and show the breakdowns and be able to teach from it, and that's the great part about an exhibition game.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave, if you got any questions.
Vicki, talk about being out there again. She said first time in 18 months. Talk about how that felt.
I felt like a freshman again at the very beginning. I was so nervous. I got that first 4 minutes under my belt, and then I just feel so comfortable out there now. So it's night and day.
Talk about how you were able to play. It didn't look like they could do much against you.
No, I mean, when I have that kind of a size difference, you just have to attack the paint.
Coach, can you talk about how Vicki played today?
Well, I thought Vicki did fine. I took several deep breaths in the first half because I was amazed at we were going to play so hard, but we just didn't play smart. I mean, when we included Vicki and what we were doing in the half-court offense, you know, I think we built ourselves a 9-0 hole to begin with, or something to that effect, and, you know, climbed out of it and went ahead. And, you know, when we'd let her touch the ball every now and then, you know, it looked really easy, you know. So I kind of thought, well, let's do that often. And so it just kind of took us a while. I just think that was just individual players not being selfish, but just trying to make a lot happen. And that's part of early in the season and us kind of learning how to mesh it all together in a game situation. But when we deliver the ball correctly to Vicki, you're exactly right. I mean, there's just not a lot at 6'7". I think that's one of the beautiful things when I see Vic get 2 hands on a rebound. It stays so high for so long. You know, everybody just kind of can filter out and do their thing. You know, don't panic. But she had a great day today. I feel the same way about Vicki's day today that I do with our freshmen. You just want to get it behind you. You want to experience it, move forward, and this is just you'll hear me say this a lot this year. I love this team, and they've not had a bad practice yet this season, and it's really because of just their trust in one another and their commitment to each other. And we're going to get a lot better as far as basketball is concerned throughout this season, but a huge part of that is because of how they take care of one another. And so this is just a great first step for us.
Georgia, could you talk a little bit about how you guys were able to do tonight on offense with a slow start and able to recover from that?
Thank you. I think we're just nervous. We were just nervous in the beginning, and because this was our first game, we had a really good preseason, and then we just trust the whole process. We just did what the coaches asked us to do.
I think we were high in turnovers in the first half today, and the kind of turnovers that they were, it was us forcing things offensively that we shouldn't have been forcing. I think that today will really help when we go back and watch video, that we've got to let the offense come to us a little bit. I think this team, as they get deeper into season, they'll be able to delineate the difference between if transition is really there for them or if they need to kind of put the brakes on briefly and kind of get into more of a half-court set. Because if the transition's not there, this is coming, you know, and so they've just got to begin to recognize that. And it's hard when you've got a starting freshman point guard and you're playing 4 other freshmen quite a bit also. It's just hard for them to really understand what I mean when I say that in practice until they get into a situation like today and we can go back and we can review it. So I think shot selection will be better in our second game. I think that there were some really good things with ball pressure today, but I guarantee we won't have 9 or 10 hand checks next Saturday. And and I just think it'll just be a little more fluid for us offensively, not quite so bumpy as it was today. That's just all part of the things that come along with some experience with each other.
Do you feel, was the different lineups, you shuffled a lot of players in and out, was that a combination of the fouls and them just adjusting, or was that something you'd kind of planned on, the different mixes?
You know, it was early on, and I noticed that it was real late in the game, but I noticed that we were either playing Jordan or Jordy, you know, the whole time. And Jordan and Jordy on the floor together are very good, and I think that's kind of one of the fun things. I'm really looking forward to going back and seeing video, because as a coach, you always think you kind of know what happened, and then you go back and you see the video. It's never as bad as you thought it was, and it's never as good as you thought it was. You know, you kind of get back and you get to review it on video, and that'll be one of the things that as a staff we'll really break that down and look at our efficiency and kind of which combinations were pretty lethal together. I'm interested in seeing how, when we kind of dug ourselves out of our hole early in the game and kind of built our lead, what were our combinations that were most effective when we kind of began to get in some transition game and relaxed and built a big lead in the second half. How were we doing that? What were we in when we were doing it? And I think one of the things that kind of saved us in the first half was a combination of our zone and man defense. We try to keep switching them up with different lineups as they switch their personnel up as well. And we'll have a little bit more, I think, in our hip pocket within 2 weeks when we really open regular season. But I think that was one of the things that benefited us. And it gives Vic a good break, because I felt like every time she was in today, she was fresh. You know, she was talking, she was ready for the ball. And Carolina Lopez, I thought, gave us some really good minutes defensively coming in. And so those are just all things that we know about ourselves, but we got to go back and show it to our team now and see it as a staff so they can learn that about each other.